What's up guys, Inigami here, and let's go over support abilities which are coming out with version 9.0.0 on the global version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. We're just going to talk about support abilities and what they do, how to use them, which ones are important especially for upcoming things in One Piece Treasure Cruise. Now, if you go into your box, you will see this is a Japanese version because the global version is currently down for the update. And when the update comes up, you will be able to see this. You'll be able to see a new filter that is sort by supports. And you'll see this little icon by every single character here. Now, support abilities will start off with no levels in it. And whenever you click on the character, you'll be able to see the support ability up here in the upper right. You can click on it and you can read what the levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will do. In order to level up support abilities, you will need a total of 5 copies of that exact same character evolution line. So just like limit breaking, which needs the exact same character limit evolution line, in order to limit break them, you need support abilities, or you need the same character to level up their support ability. So basically, if it levels up their limit break potential ability, it will level up that support ability too. And if you're ever confused while you're powering up a character, if you click on the power up area, you'll be able to see the support tag. Oh, you know what? I can go filter by this. Whoops. You'll see this little additional tag on a character that says it'll level up their support abilities whenever you go to the power up stage. So if you're ever confused, that little additional tag underneath limit break is also the support notice. Basically, every single rare recruit in the game will be getting support. So far, dual characters notably have never gotten a support ability, so no rare recruit, no farmable, no dual characters have gotten a support so far. But if you're saving up those rare recruit characters, I would definitely save at least 5 copies for that support until they get them, which, well, just like Limit Break, they've been rolling out support abilities in waves. Now, if you go over to the Team Select screen, you'll notice that there are an entire additional 5 characters that you have available to add as your supports. So what this is, and what support abilities actually do, is every single character that has a support ability says what the support ability does, but also at the very top it says who that character is able to support. For example, Luffy supports all characters. I know it's in Japanese. Just go ahead and assume that this is in English. Luffy supports all characters, and what he will do is he will add up to 9% of his attack, health, and recovery to that supported character. And a large majority of support characters are these simple stats boosts. Either attack, health, and recovery, or just attack, or any combination of the 3 stats. So might be only 1 stat, attack, health, or recovery, a combination of 2, or all 3. For example, Kid is 5% of attack to the character. Corazon is one of the special ones, and those are the ones I want to talk about now. Specials like Corazon's, or supports like Corazon's support. If you go over to the database, you can always sort by support abilities down here in the bottom left. And more importantly, underneath my face are final stage activated supports. In fact, let me just hide myself here. If you look here, you'll see final stage activated supports, first special activated supports, and debuff activated supports. All of these 3 are some of the best and most unique support abilities in the game. So if you go to the final stage supports, you know what, I'll be up here. There we go. Final stage activated supports. These supports work as soon as you get into that last stage. Which means, like Zoro, which is one very, very, very good one to get. Whenever you get into the final stage, you will get a 1.3 times affinity boost to all slashers for 1 turn. Vivi is actually one of the most useful support abilities, and it's very simple. The part that we care about is when you get to the final stage, changes the support character's orb into a matching orb, which is the key part that we're worried about because she supports all characters, which basically means you can slap her even at level 1 as a support on any character to guarantee a matching orb once you get to the final stage, which is incredibly useful for getting past those like color orb barriers. So put her on a quick character, you guaranteed a quick orb, so you can get rid of 1 quick orb barrier. Very, 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 very useful. Now, the big downside to support abilities on teams is that when you want to add supports on characters, there's no way to add supports all at once. So when you go to add supports, when you make yourself a team, let's say I get rid of this team here, I want to make a team of some 5 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. There's a quick select for 5 characters, but you must select each support ability one at a time, unfortunately. So you go here, you click on your support, it will automatically highlight which characters you can and cannot use as support. And note that you can only still use one of each character on your teams. So you only have one Luffy either as a character or as a support. So if you're using Luffy Captain, you can't use Luffy as a support on any character. If I have 5+ Luffy as a support, I cannot use Luffy as a support anywhere else. If I have like Luffy Ace here, Luffy is automatically not allowed as any support. Whitebeard Marco, no Whitebeard or no Marco support abilities. And if I use a support on like Shanks here, obviously I can't use Shanks somewhere else. Supports do not count against you for treasure map cost or treasure map restrictions. So if you use a support on a treasure map team, you can still use that character / support on any other team. It does not give or add points to any event so far, so it does not allow you to get additional points from treasure map or other blitz effects. But supports have come in handy for certain events that required certain supports in order to even run them. So for example, there was a Barto, an Enel, and a Cavendish fight, was it? I think it was. I don't remember what the last one. But in order to run this fight, in order to do Enel, you must be Judge. In order to do Enel, you had to either use a Ganfor as support or a Canis as support. So any Ganfor would work. This Ganfor also is nice because whenever you get paralysis, changes the support character's orb and matching and boosts orbs of all characters 1.3 times, which has come in handy for the Zoro Sanji Bond battle fight, which paralyzes us and has a special interrupt on orb boost. Canis, and anytime it's a support ability restriction so far, you must use any support character. So you could either use the Fortnite Canis or the Rare Recruit Canis. Either one would work. Now, some other especially notable support characters in the game, the 2 EX supports, Ors EX and Shirahoshi EX, which only support basically Shirahoshi. If you go into the database, you can see it. She only works for Neptunes, so she can support any Neptune. But her ability does require the character to use an orb converting or orb manipulating special, which there's only one Neptune that does that, so she basically only supports one character. That reduces burn duration and gives you some more matching orbs. On that same note, Ors only supports basically EX Moria since he requires that character to heal, and there's only one healing Moria in game so far. And whenever you use a healing Moria special, reduces enemies' damage threshold and barrier duration by 2 turns. Some other very notable farmable characters, Opera. This is Coliseum Opera. He, whenever you get this, whenever you use a damaging special on the character, reduces the spare duration by 2 turns, and that's on fighters. We already talked about Zoro. Beppo, not rare recruit, but is a rare recruit only character, but I do want to mention him because he has come in handy for a fight to use as support. Since he will, on Laws, when you use the special, whenever that character whenever you hit the perfect with Law, reduces damage threshold duration by 1 turn. Dagama and Elisabello were support characters required for Barto. Suleiman, very, very nice. Deals 3 hits of random typeless damage. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the part. Whenever the support character uses their special, boost attacks against delay by 1.3 times. Basically, if a character has a support ability that is either activated upon going into the final stage, upon using a special, or getting a debuff, basically any non-pure stats boosting support characters, they are incredibly, incredibly, incredibly useful, and I highly recommend maxing out those support abilities. Now, what if you can't get copies of that character in order to level up their support, right? If you want to get support on Legend Luffy, you need 5 copies or 5 additional copies of Legend Luffy.
SHH, my doggo is sleeping.
Thanks, Trix, for that sub. So let's say you want to get support on Legend Luffy. You have to get 6 copies total of this Luffy in order to max out his support, because you need 5 additional copies. There are support items in game, and those are going to be available from certain islands and certain events. So these support items look a little something like these. There we go. So you have 3 levels of support items. The 5-star support item is a guaranteed support up on whichever character you give it to, so use these on your legends. There is the 4-star support up, which is about a 1 in 5 chance of getting a support up on that character, and then the 3-star support item, which is the teensiest, tiniest, maybe 1 out of 10 chance of getting a support up on a character. So if you want to save these for your legends, you want to save these for your limited rare recruit characters that you aren't going to be pulling additional copies of, but I would just say save them for legends whose supports you need, and I would also save them for either ones like 6+ Luffy, who gives a massive 9% to his stats to whatever character he's supporting, and he supports all characters, or characters like Corazon. Whenever you get Bind, Despair, or Paralysis, reduces Bind, Despair, and Paralysis by 2 turns. So quite useful there too. So save those for those legend supports. Supports do count for your total crew costs, which has only mattered besides, first of all, if you don't have the crew cost to use supports on teams, but it has mattered on cost restricted events. So if the cost restriction is you must use a crew cost of like 200 or less, you can't really use those super expensive supports, because that would add, if I put a Kainu on this team, an additional 50 crew costs to this team. Your friend captain will never have a support character. Whenever you go through a fight, your friend captain just does not have a support character. There's no way to support your friend captain. So generally, if you have your captain and a friend captain the same type, your captain is going to have higher attacks than the others. And one last thing to note about support abilities is if you have a ton of recovery cotton candy sitting around like I do, I highly recommend looking for recovery boosting support characters and just throwing a bunch of recovery on a lot of these characters you wouldn't normally use. Characters like this Luffy. This Fortnite Luffy gives 3% of his attack, health, and recovery to any Straw Hat, which means I can just slap 100 recovery on him and give a total of 100 cotton candies on him to give an extra total of like 3 recovery to whoever he's supporting. Not that much, but it is something to do with those recoveries, right? Wow, 3 extra recovery. Hero Look, who gives 3% of all stats, another 3 recovery to whoever. Who's a farmable? More farmable characters that I actually care about. Oh, Pedro. Pedro, who actually gives health and recovery, 7% of health and recovery, so you get a whole massive 7 additional recovery by using him as a support. Obviously not crazy recovery numbers, but if they're characters you're not going to give cotton candies to anyways, and they're just sitting around, it's a tiny little boost. And I've got a ton of recovery candies that are just sitting around anyways. I haven't seen any of them, guys. I can't do my sign off. Support ability coming out in the global version of OPTC. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all stay beautiful.